What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, and you tune in to another edition of Fresh Out, Something from Nothing. You know, we like to keep you guys laced up with people who are self-made, who have created their own brands for themselves. And I have here with me today my friend Adam from Seattle, the man who details the cars for the athletes. This guy works with the Seattle Seahawks and some other professional sports teams up in the Washington area. And man, I had to get his story to figure out how he got to where he's at now. So make sure you guys tune in. Adam, can you tell the people a little bit about like where you're from and you know how you kind of got into the whole car game? You know, what led you to that industry?
Yeah, well, one of my uncles had passed away. I was 16, and you know how everybody gets something. I got his car cleaning stuff, and so I started using it on my car, and then I wasn't really working out in school.
What kind of car was it you had?
Oh, I had a '82 Civic wagon, real piece of shit. But yeah, that was what I started practicing on, and then I got linked up with a dude. My mentor, basically, who had a van, and he was putting all his car cleaning stuff in it and going out. And then this was like a caravan. This was as rickety and low budget as it could get. And yeah, I kind of just linked up with him and learned his techniques and started working for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you learn like the old school where you know you wash a car, then you dry the car, and then you put the I remember they had the old wax that you put on the car, and then it turns dusty. Then you got to go back and wipe it, and then when you wipe it, then you always have to wipe it again. You know.
That was that new finish or whatever, the orange can.
The orange can. Yeah.
Gets in the cracks and.
Yeah. You got to go through and really rub the crack because it looks bad when you. If you let it dry, it looks like the paint is like all powdery.
Yep. Yeah. All that junk. Yeah, so the trick for that is pressure washing the cracks out.
Okay.
And you'll see like a lot of jobs I'll get where somebody's trying to do it themselves and then they can't get in the cracks. Well, I just pressure wash that shit out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said your mentor kind of gave you the ins and outs on how to really be more professional or more detailed, or what did he teach you that you hadn't really known when you were doing on your own, just doing your own cars?
I mean, everything from how to really detail, and then just in life too. That was pretty much the biggest benefit I got and for drumming up business, meeting people, talking to people. Yeah, that all came from him.
So at what point did you start working for yourself? I know you mentioned off camera that you came from like a middle class background. Was there anybody else who were entrepreneurs in your family, or what made you pursue to be your own boss?
It's a good question. Yeah, because I just didn't really ever fit into a category, I guess. I never had a vision of, I want to be this, I want to do this. And then always kind of struggled with the thought of conforming to like a scheduled job where you dress this way and you take orders from a boss. And that made me miserable. It makes me miserable thinking about it now, you know? So yeah, everything just kind of worked its way out. Like I would have either been in a different type of industry, but this is definitely the one that I like.
So at what point did you see this as a profession and you actually got like a DBA or an LLC? At what point did you kind of get into that to that actual level? Because I know I started my first business in high school, but I knew a little bit about a DBA, but I didn't really have all the professional background knowledge on how to really incorporate and make it a legit business. When did you do that?
Well, that was kind of I mean, you get the license, you make sure you're insured and all that, and then you get a little tax girl to take care of all that stuff. But
how old were you when you did that?
That was in 2016 on my own.
Okay.
But I worked for, I mean, I was with the dude I was talking about on and off for 10 years. I worked at different shops.
Okay.
You know, and then I was managing a company that they brought in a guy to manage me, and he didn't know anything about cars or detailing or anything like that. And I just got really sick of handing him my hard-earned cash every day. And then, yeah, it was actually, it was Cam Chancellor's house. I was working, and he came out one day, and I was probably looking really, really stressed out, and he was like, Adam, you ever think about just doing this yourself? And I was like, it can be like just a simple little thing like that is right there, but you know, when somebody can say something to make you think about it a little different, it's like, yeah.
So was that a turning point in your career?
Yeah, I could never get his damn voice out of my head after that. And so then it just, like, rolling around at night, just can't sleep, thinking like, why am I handing somebody else the money that I'm earning? It wasn't making any sense at that point.
And once you decided to go ahead and branch off on your own, what were the first steps you took to kind of, you know, generate your first clients?
Well, so I had relationships with everybody from before, and basically when everybody heard that I was doing my own thing, I wasn't trying to interfere or take anybody's customers or anything like that, but they're like, hey, we know you, we want to work with you. So I think that a lot of companies out there underestimate the value of knowing your customers, because at the end of the day, they're paying for that relationship too, you know.
And you know, you made a good point there, because I always tell people that you know, people do business with people they like. You know, and so you have certain people that think that, oh man, you know, this guy over here, I'm gonna hook up with him. But I'm like, dude, if you don't have that relationship, if a person feels like you're just there to try to take, it's not gonna really work. You gotta have that bond, and then that's how, like, you know, knowing how to talk to people. And I told a kid one time, he's like, well, how do you learn to talk to people? I said, well, you got to go interact, but there was also a great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, that was what's his name? I can't remember the dude's name, but old school.
Is it Napoleon Hill? Did he write that too, or somebody else? Somebody else wrote that. I can't remember who wrote it either, but I read the book a long time ago, and I said, man, when you read that, it's like communicating, like you said, being personable, and people seeing you and like the way you carry yourself, it kind of opened those doors already, because you already put that into the universe. Right.
And you know, the more, what's the saying? The more doors you knock on, the more will open, right? So I'm still incredibly awkward a lot of the time. Like, that's just how I am. But you have to ignore those, you know, those feelings of being nervous to walk up to somebody. So like, just the practices of, like, we would go out and just talk, like, especially if you're like going out for the night or whatever, make it a goal to talk to 100 people that day. So whether that's just, hey, how you doing? Just, you know, initiate a conversation.
That's right.
And the more you do it, the more it just becomes like it's not a big deal.
I always say too that you want to put yourself in situations that make you feel the most uncomfortable, so you can challenge that uncomfortability. Right. And then once you get over that, you basically, everything else is a cakewalk. Right. I mean, for some reason, you know, I guess I put myself in the most uncomfortable, which is prison. Right. And then from there, everything else, I mean, what am I intimidated by? I mean, a guy who has a Ferrari, or this guy, I mean, there's nothing that can get beyond that. So
Right.
I always tell people, man, like you said, get out there, talk to X amount of people a day, go somewhere and socialize. Even if you go sit around and people watch, get used to human interaction, because that's what is going to be the game changer in the next 10 years, because a lot of people do not know how to make eye contact.
Right.
They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't even know how to make an introduction.
Yeah, and what's going on too with like the way that you had said something about video games. The way that video games used to be for me, I'm 34 now. When I think it was like Nintendo 64, like everybody's meeting up and playing, and it would be like a Friday night. Everybody's hanging out. Now, you have to have your console in your room. Your buddies have to be in their homes, and then everybody's tied in online.
A virtual room.
Right, but you're not, duking it out and fighting over shit, and then just learning the basic communication of human interaction or whatever.
You're right, because it's funny. I'm a little older than you, so we had the best back then was Intellivision and Coleco, where you had so many consoles and you pull the cords out and it'd be like 4 or 5 people, and then every people waiting around to get in next. So everybody would be in that room, but it's interaction.
Right.
So it's not like you're across the states or your house. You would actually have to come to somebody's house. Maybe you guys eat pizza afterwards,
Yep.
or then go ride BMX bikes. You know what I mean?
BMX all day.
So we go
All night.
BMX or skateboard
Yep.
after we played maybe an hour of video games, but we were always, it was very competitive and very interactive. So it was a different era, man, and you don't have that anymore. So as far as, like you said, getting out there, branching off on your own, meeting people, what led to you getting your first gig with some of these Seattle Seahawks guys?
So my mentor, I think he was probably a year or two before I even met him. He was taking his van out, and he would just, from what I remember of the stories, he would just post up out while they're going into practice and just kind of be like, hey, and people are like, what's this guy doing? And then finally, hey, can I clean your car? Can I clean your car? And then just stay persistent to the point where someone's like, here, take it, and then the next guy pulls up, what's this? This guy's getting his car cleaned at practice? I want my car cleaned. Next thing you know,
wow,
it's the whole team,
That's gangster.
Yeah. And that's, and then you build those relationships with those people, and, that's how that all
See, that's old
continues to
school
go.
guerrilla marketing right there, where you don't even know anybody, but you're stepping out somewhere and you're playing a numbers game, and that's very impressive, and that's a forgotten art right there. Being able to do that. So him doing that, did that lead to you doing the same thing, or eventually you got turned on to some of them guys because you work with him?
Yep. So he's a hustler, entrepreneur himself. So he has his own radio show up in Seattle, and he's doing his thing. So there was just this big gap basically of, all right, I better hop on and get to it on these guys' cars, because somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
And
So having built those relationships, did that lead to a lot of referral business to other guys, professional basketball players?
Well, so we don't have the basketball team anymore, wherever they went.
They left Seattle, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's the other big thing that's benefited me. I don't like sports. I don't like it, any of it. So that I didn't give a shit who I was meeting either, right?
Yeah. So you didn't play into the egos.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, I like watching the Seahawks now, but I wasn't really
starstruck.
Yeah, and knowledgeable. So I was just like normal, and so I think that helped me a lot too.
Okay.
But as far as like referrals, so I don't have a website. I don't have a Yelp or any of that.
Wow.
Because number one, Yelp is they try to extort me basically, where people will use your service and say, hey, I'll leave you a good review if what are you going to hook me up with? Like, no, right? So we had, for the other company, we had a bunch of different run-ins where people were like, yeah, I'm going to leave a bad review unless you do this.
Wow.
Yeah, and so when I would contact Yelp, they're like, well, you're more than free to respond back. I'm like, I don't have time to do that. So when I started my own thing, I was like, I'm not going to do any of that and deal with weirdos from the internet. What I'm going to do is with my clients, my base, good, strong people, I'm just going to say, hey, can you refer me to the normal people in your family?
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like they're not going to be giving me their crazy Aunt Carol or whatever, right? They're giving me their wealthy, their best people, and then they give me their wealthy and best people, and so on, to the point where I can't take on any more work.
Yeah.
You know, so that's been a real good. The referral business has been, or method has been the best way for me to do my business.
That's totally contrary to everybody who's like trying to do the LinkedIn, the Yelp, all these other things where you
Marketing,
got people. Yeah.
I mean, for me,
Yeah.
like I can't talk on other people's thing, but for my gig, the way that I went about it was perfect.
That's unique. Mm-hmm. That's unique in its own way. What are some of the cooler cars you've detailed that you think like you were like, wow, this is a dope car, or this is this is different, or you really enjoyed detailing since you are a car guy?
Yeah, well, from back in the day of like we were so broke, we would basically be begging to clean anybody's car, right? So we went from the grimiest, shittiest dealership cars to minivans with just caked with everything, and now Phantoms, any type of Rolls Royce, the Ferraris, Lambo, everything. But the only car that I guess really like made me kind of nervous was I love Ferraris, and the first time I got in a 458, I was like, oh shit. Like you just had that, like, wow, like I actually made it to this level, to where this is what I'm cleaning. That was a good moment. But yeah.
And so when you say detail, for the people, do you do everything from like interior, exterior to engine compartment to trunk,
everything.
wheels?
So literally I can do anything on a car that needs to be done. But for a lot of the, as far as like a full job, like a full detail, I'll see some people once a year.
Okay.
Other guys that keep their cars kind of clean on, like if they're all in one spot and they're, I'll just bang out like a mini detail, which is like a quick in, quick out, but it doesn't require, a lot of
in-depth type of cleaning.
Right.
And what would it cost, say, for somebody to get, let's just say, like you said, a 458 Ferrari detail? Because typically, I would imagine they wouldn't let it get that bad unless you really done one. I mean, they wouldn't let it get too grimy before they had a detail. Right.
Well, the other thing too with $300,000 cars, it's really annoying when they're trying to budget on a detail. When you're like, come on, man.
You gotta be kidding me, huh?
Right. So that can happen from time to time. But to get something like that detail, I would want to be charging like $200-300, so I can really take my time on it.
Yeah.
And even if it is kind of clean, still you should probably be paying a few hundred for a car that nice.
Yeah, because it's like you said, it's like almost don't do my tires, but just leave the.
Right.
You're like, come on, dude. You just want to do the interior, and leave everything else. What have you guys done any like cars for like any of the like the big car shows, like people who are like preparing to take their car to like a Concours or a D'Elegance show or something like that? Have you done any?
Yeah, I've done over the years many cars that are about to go to car shows.
Okay.
Yeah, because everybody wants to be on, top performance, or they want to be extra clean for the car show.
like as far as the classic now, what have you done that you felt like, man, this is one of the cleanest, classics I've seen, like, muscle car, old school, or
Man, if I knew how many cars, I'd say I was thinking about that. How many details have I done? Like 100,000+. I don't know.
wow.
But as far as like, I mean, you name it, man. Like the
Chevelles, Camaros, Impalas, everything, all of it, huh?
Yeah.
Any clients stick out in your mind, like as far as clients that were really memorable, as far as good clients that you're like, this guy.
Good clients.
Yeah. I know there's some bad ones. We'll get to those too.
Yeah. There was one where this has happened a few times where a loved one will die, and then this is their baby, their car that they never got, looking right again. I remember there was this one lady, her dad had died, and it was like a pickup truck or something, and I detailed it, went above and beyond on it, and then when she came out, she was crying. That was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. It's weird that you'll get these. You think just cleaning a car, but you have these moments, like I mean, I've watched a lot of my people's kids grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like family to them. It's cool. It's cool to build the relationships that deep.
Now, have there been clients that you said, man, I'm never coming back here again, I'm good?
Yeah.
A lot of those?
A lot of those.
It's just like nitpicking, just trying to find something to try to knock it down, knowing that it's like some bullshit.
Yep. There's certain people that fall into that category 90% of the time. And it'll always start with this, like if somebody sees what I'm doing, or if it's not a referral that comes to me, but like somebody that wants my number,
out of the ordinary, yeah.
It always starts with this. So what kind of deal can I get? And the second somebody starts talking about a deal that they can get, I already know it's shit.
All bad.
All bad. But yeah, there's been some nightmares out there.
Now, dealing with a celebrity clientele, do you feel that the guys who you dealt with that are more in that limelight are decent or better clients than, like, say, the working class guy who comes to you, or it's about the same? Or
man, you got good questions, man. Yeah, because you see the different lifestyles, right? When somebody's been admired for a super long amount of time, they sometimes can lose touch with the working class. Well, I mean, you were in LA, right?
Yeah.
So you probably see the celebrity people too, or saw them where, like, they are in another stratosphere,
yeah.
Right? So yeah, learning to navigate that and learning to get through to them to like their actual who they are, rather than being like, oh hey, but just being like just real, and then developing a relationship. It's been interesting, but challenging and also rewarding, because they have a lot of cool shit to talk about once they
kind of come off their high horse down a little bit.
Yeah, once they come out of their shell,
Yeah,
for sure.
I would imagine a lot of people kind of feel like they got to protect themselves too, because they think that people are trying to always get something from them.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
So I've heard and seen that over the years plenty, where outsider people will come around, hey, and then people that know me will be like, hey, can you get me? No, I can't get you that.
Yeah.
Because that would ruin my relationship, the professional relationship that I have. So I don't ask, I've never asked for pictures or anything like that, or
memorabilia, shit like that.
Yeah, I've been gifted a few things.
Yeah.
That are, dear to my heart, But those have been real authentic things too, you know. Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to like a young person watching this, who's trying to, start their own business and trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur, and they don't really have any idea, what the first step is.
Right. The best advice is get a job at a detail shop or multiple detail shops and learn skills from, like, I was thinking this the other day. You know that the candy shops where they have all the different candies and you put them in the bag and you walk out. Learn your skills from people like that. Like I'm my own, but I've taken lessons from all types of really, really skilled people and kind of built my own thing. That's definitely, to just follow somebody's exact way of doing things can be kind of.
So when you want to take the like basically the multiple aspects to blend it in to create your own vision to see, like, because everybody does something a little bit different.
Yep, and there was things that people that I worked for that drove me so insane that I would be like, once if I get this going, I'm gonna do it my way and it's gonna be way better. And you need to go through a lot of those you need to work for very, very frustrating people to learn, like, it's a really nice thing to pass through, like, peacefully.
At the end of the day, man, people have to realize sometimes you got to bump your head. Everything's not going to just go smoothly.
Right.
I've done multiple investments. I lost a lot of money since I've been out, and then I made some money. But, like, if you didn't learn those lessons, you wouldn't know them when they came again.
Right.
So that you could avoid them the second time.
Right.
And that's the thing. And some of these things you can't teach in a book. It's not something like I can just tell you. You have to go through it. And that's where, life lessons comes into play. It's kind of like we talked about where, you went one direction and you had friends that went a different direction. How could some of these people, out there watching, know how to avoid situations like yourself, like how you avoided things to get to where you're at? Because, like, you weren't really, like you said, a school guy, and you could have went a totally different direction, but you didn't.
Mm-hmm. From definitely, I would say you got to know the difference between right and wrong, I guess, and that crime is not gonna ever pay out. I mean, I cannot think of one person that went those routes where it's like, wow, he really ended up good,
Yeah.
It never ends like that. And I would just say, find a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, you need a mentor, and somebody to look up to, and somebody that can give you guidance. And if you're in the position to do that, then you need to be doing it to somebody else too, because if I didn't meet my mentor at the time that I did, even though I had, my dad was a Vietnam vet, he laid the ground floor too in who I am.
Okay.
So I knew what was right, what was wrong. I knew how to work hard, and then with meeting the mentor, it was just like way another level.
Too, I was just reflecting on something this morning, and people jump on stories in the news, and they're like, oh, that person, they weren't that bad, and blah, blah. Look, man, you don't wake up one day and start carrying pistols with no registration, or getting ready to stab people, or rob somebody. You work up to that. Right. You know what I mean? Initially, a kid is a flower, innocent, just trying to bloom. And then as you start feeding it certain things, it starts becoming sour.
Right.
And when it becomes so sour, now that sour is norm. And then at that point, it's no longer any good. And in order to change that, it takes a lot of work. So I tell people all the time, you got to catch stuff early on and start seeing like what's going on. You think you know your kids, or you know what's going on with certain people. You got to see them when they're not around you, and observe and be like, oh, because it's not the norm. And if you don't catch it quick and put a stop to it, it can spiral out of control.
Right.
It takes it takes a strong person to recognize, because like we, to some degree, I would assume most people would grow up knowing right from wrong, good from bad, positive from negative. But depending on your parental influences, your peers, and knowing that hey man, I know my dad would be cool with this, or my mom, let me get out the car, let me go home.
Yep. Oh, I used to do that shit all the time. Just, hey, stop. And I would literally, there was so many times that I just dipped out of places. And one of my best friends that used to, man, you're a pussy. What? Quit being a pussy. But he got murdered. And it's like, I always listen to that gut instinct. Always.
That's a good thing, man.
Mm-hmm. Always.
That's a good thing. And there's nothing wrong with being, oh, you soft. Oh, you this. Yeah, I'm soft, but I'm going to stay out of trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I tell you right now.
I'm going to stay alive.
Stay alive. The run is not that long when you're a criminal.
Right.
You know what I mean? You think, oh, no, you're not going to do years and years of crime before they crack your head. Right. So, I mean, that's wise to say. And I think, having, your dad who had that military background, and he could kind of see little things, and the fact that you were able to differentiate, man, I think that's a blessing.
Yeah, and growing up, I mean, he was not a fun guy.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, you can look back and you're like, man, I got really, really lucky by having that. And knowing that he was looking out.
Yeah.
Rather than, he wasn't just a dickhead all the time. He wasn't just, a jerk.
Well, like you said, look at some of your friends, and you turn back now like, dudes is, you say what up in passing, but that's it. You don't have nothing to do with them.
Yeah, if I could even say hi anymore, if I even recognize them.
Wow.
I mean, Seattle is such a weird place, man. There's the amount of drugs that have gone in and out of that place too, where I literally was outside of a bar one time, and a dude asked me for a lighter, and I said, sorry man, I don't have one. And I was talking to somebody I grew up with, and he said, what, you don't recognize me? And I go, oh fuck. Like, that's one moment I'll never forget.
Wow, he's tore up?
Well, yeah, he's dead now too. That guy is dead too. But yeah, he was just big beard, just homeless. I was like, what the hell?
Damn.
But yeah, just from the upbringing and choices that you make, yeah, I was always wanting to go do something and get money, right? And there's very tempting routes to go get that quickly. As far as, if I go get that and I go do that with it, it's going to turn into easy, quick money. That bullshit, it comes with all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, where I think the real big thing I never wanted to be faced with was going to, like, you're either going to snitch or you're going to prison for 20 years. I didn't even want to be in that situation. Not happening. Not going to be in my life.
Yeah.
So I just worked hard. And then, now, so from getting a van, and I mean, when I quit and went and got my own van, I sold my truck, bought an Astro van. This is in 2016. Filled it with my machines and chemicals and tools, and I was grinding, like, right away. I made the money that it took to invest in the van, tools, and chemicals. I made it all back within 1 month. So I didn't need a business loan or anything like that. I sacrificed my baby, my truck, that I still miss to this day. But if I didn't sacrifice that thing, I would have probably not taken the business as serious from the jump.
That's right.
Because I was like, man, I sold my fucking truck for this. But hey, then it was like just that was like momentum, right? And yeah, the money. When people see, it's not just like you're not just washing cars, right? People used to say that too. You're still washing cars, motherfucker. I'm still detailing.
Yeah.
And it's like the money though that you can generate in a day is, I think it's really underestimated, especially in areas where you're around like booming like the tech people up there. A lot of money, but there's money anywhere, any city, anywhere. And yeah, if the money's green, I'm gonna get it. And yeah, I would say that you can, especially if you have a partner that you're out there working with, you can easily bring home 1,000 cash a day if you lock down a parking lot, because that's the keeping up with the Joneses or whatever the saying is. If I go into an office parking lot, one thing that we used to do is just go flirt with the girl at the front desk. Hey, get me somebody in here that wants their car detailed, and I'll do yours for free. So then, or just give me your keys, I'm going to do yours for free so other people see what I'm doing. So you go out, next thing you know, hey, what's this? You got a card? Next thing you know, you're booked for the next 3 weeks. You know, because, and that's the fun part. Like you can see, I'm kind of that's just the exciting part of it. And then, you know, just money stacking up. And yeah, it's fun, man.
And it makes sense because, like you said, somebody that works, they come out, their car's clean, they're good. They pass, they got something done, they feel like, okay, you done made money, they went home, they're cool.
Yep, you're basically
win-win.
It's a service that, it's like if you're going out on the town, you're gonna take a shower, you're gonna get a haircut, you're gonna do all that. You're not leaving with a dirty car, right? So it all goes hand in hand. You're feeling better when you pull up in a clean car. You're going to do better at the meeting, practice, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a thing for cars, because you're like, damn, look at this shit.
Well, even too, a lot of places is valet, especially in a professional environment. And you got a dirty car pulling up, they're looking like, dude, who's getting in this thing?
Right.
And you're trying to close a deal, they're like,
yep.
Wow, man, you came to the deal like that?
Real estate people, too, have always been huge, especially before COVID, because they had to drive people around all the time. And so we used to shut the places down, you know, because nobody wants to be the guy that isn't getting their car cleaned. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that guy. Well, you don't have the money for it? So
then it's like a reverse, like, oh, you're in the outs.
Yep, exactly.
So if you could say anything to a young, inspiring entrepreneur, go-getter, what would you tell them?
I would say learn some hands-on skills, some trades and shit. All the computer stuff, and if that's your thing, do it. But if you can build a house, if you can wire electricity and plumb pipes or whatever they call it, do yard work, all that sort of shit, landscaping. Learn those skills, because those skills are always going to be needed, and it's just not all about this fancy tech shit. People need men like strong work.
That's right.
Yeah, and so if you can learn those skills, you're never going to be out of money, especially if you can learn to talk to people too. Like I said, practice saying hi to 100 people a day, and you're going to see that's going to help with women too.
Yeah.
Big time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I would say learn some skills, find a mentor, find people to admire or look up to. Stay the fuck away from sketchy people doing bad shit, drugs, any illegal activity whatsoever. Just keep it out of your realm. Make money your activity. I would say that for my advice, I guess.
All right, man. Well, shit, that was some good talk, man. I appreciate you coming out here from Seattle, taking the time to share your story. I mean, it's a great opportunity for our listeners, for our viewers to actually hear somebody who's made it on their own, who's successful, because a lot of people out there need some inspiration, need some hope, and they don't really have anybody they have around them as a mentor. So this channel provides a lot of that. So
Yeah.
hey man, stay doing your thing, stay positive, stay motivated, man,
Appreciate it.
and much success to you in the future, man.
Thank you, man.
Big Herc 916, fresh out.